I'm Brad Leavitt, President of AFT Construction. Thank you for tuning into our YouTube channel today. We are at our Pinnacle View project. So let's talk about pre-construction agreements. This is a really important aspect for the relationship between the client, builder, architect, designer, right? The whole team we're putting together. This is also key because it really defines our role in that pre-construction process and really the value to our client involving us early on. You know, every client has a budget. We've spoken about this. It doesn't matter if they're spending $100,000 or $10 million. It doesn't matter. They have a budget. They have a not to exceed. They have an amount that they're comfortable with or willing to spend. Looking at values, appraisals, these all come into play. And so with that said, it's really important as you're working through design at pre-construction, you're working with your architect, you're working with your designer, it's really important to have the contractor involved so that you can figure out what that budget is. Now, our pre-construction agreement is very simple. We have a set amount depending on the complexity of the project, location, and what it entails, the duration of that pre-construction process. And so there's an amount, and we'll call it a retainer or a deposit. So the client will fund X dollars to AFT, to us as we work through pre-construction. And this is to cover our time invested, right? As we're working on Zoom calls and meetings and pricing and budgeting, vendors, selections, all this is happening. That covers the time of myself in these meetings, covers the time of my staff, project manager, estimator, pre-construction, and coordinator. And then what ends up happening when we break ground and we move forward, we actually credit that towards the build of the house. It is something we offer for our clients. It's a very comprehensive part of our design. But at the same time, if the project does not go forward or the project stalls, that deposit or retainer is non-refundable. So it does cover our pre-construction, but if we move forward and begin building the house, we credit that back. It's just an easy way to work through that cost so that we're not just in design and helping our clients at no cost. It does cover our overhead a little bit. And during this stage, what's really valuable is that we can sit down, and you'll see here, we took you through this amazing tour of Pinnacle View. And it's really important as we start thinking budget, right? As we're thinking about window sizes, window locations, how much cabinetry and millwork's in the house, right? Appliances, we have set numbers, and as we're trying to gauge the client's budget, to the best of our ability, we have these numbers and conversations. And it really helps for our designer and architect as well that they have a check. They can say, we want to do X, Y, and Z to the design. Let's talk to AFT, make sure that's budget conscious. And then it's really simple too for our clients where we have some data points too, where if we have $50,000 for appliances and they go select their appliances, they come at 65, it's a real quick snapshot to say, do we want to increase that line 15,000 or do we want to reselect or maybe delete some appliances to get within that $50,000 number? So again, you have this pulse throughout pre-construction, which does allow us, by the time we get to bid, essentially it does help the numbers to be a lot closer, more accurate, a design that the client is now passionate about that they can afford to build. The biggest detriment is when a client goes through this design, they get emotionally attached to this beautiful home, all the selections, all the design, they want to send out to multiple contractors, prices come back. Again, all these prices are interpreted by each contractor, which is different. And then the number is way higher than they anticipated. They're deflated, they don't do the project, and there's all this waste time, energy, and emotion. So it's very valuable. That pre-construction agreement's huge. It allows us to really get that hands-on. Especially right now, we have a project with the client where we're working through the exterior. Are we going to do ICF? Are we going to do wood frame? Are we going to do block, right, masonry? And we went through these three different scenarios. We went through the pros and cons. We gave them data points as what each one would cost. And we ended up selecting masonry. And there's some reasons why we did masonry. And it has to do with the design of the house, what they're trying to achieve from an energy perspective, and with the exterior facade that we're putting on, there are a lot of extra layers with ICF. And so you layer the cost as well as the benefit and the output, and that's where we decided to go with block. So these are key conversations to have and why we have the pre-construction agreements.